Tonight on the Game On podcast, the Crows finally get their man, Neil Varm, appointed to the board. And Port Adelaide honour a Port legend, Port great player added to the Legends Club. And in the cricket, Australia's perfect summer sort of comes to an end, a bit of a crashing end. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete once again. In the studio here with me is Malcolm. And, mate, how's your week been?
It has been better, mate. Lying down the majority of it. You have gone through your own back problems recently.
Yes.
So, yes, you'll know what that's like. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a frustrating week, but that's life.
Have you been able to watch a bit of sport, though?
Yeah, a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably try to catch. It's been a bit weird. There was a couple of nights with no sleep.
Yes.
So, yeah, it hasn't been good.
No, fair enough.
That's
We'll
life.
let's park that anyway. But certainly a lot of sport to get through tonight.
Yes.
And let's have a look at what we've got coming up in Around the Grounds.
Around the Grounds.
What are we going to talk?
We're going to talk some soccer, live golf, and the basketball. There's a lot to cover there, but we better start off with the AFL tonight, mate. The season is well and truly underway now with practice matches, sims, whatever the buzzword is at the moment, all underway. And the Crows had an internal trial out at Port Pirie there. Some interesting results, but also some injuries that they probably wouldn't want at this time of the year.
Yeah, hopefully Max, my understanding is Michael Lenny's okay, but they've lost Luke Pedler for at least 4 weeks with a ruptured eardrum.
Yeah.
So,
I'd be interested
which
to know
affects
how
your
that happened.
balance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, geez, he's not having a good run, Pedler, because he can play.
Yep.
So he's not having much luck.
Did you see him in the starting 18?
He's in my starting.
Yeah, he's in my starting 18 as well.
I rate him, but
Yep.
he won't be. He won't. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll play round one.
Yep.
So.
And what about Max? Best case scenario, he's back for round one?
Oh no, the word is he may play this week.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So
Breeds him tough,
Wait,
the old piano, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. I could add lots there.
Yes, you. Mate, the Crows would obviously be pretty happy with what's going on. Let's talk about them briefly. We have obviously talked about them a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but now the focus narrows a little bit more towards the start of the season. It looks like the recruits that they brought in have fitted in quite seamlessly to what's going on.
There's going to be a bit more depth. That's the thing. You know, it means that you would think, and yes, you can say he's the whipping boy, and it's nothing against Lockie Murphy. He shouldn't be on an AFL list in my opinion.
Yep.
Means he doesn't play, things like that. So Neil Bullen gives you a lot more depth there.
Mhm.
Peatling and Draper help on ball. Adds a few more dimensions, bit of pace,
Yep.
which Adelaide lack.
Yes.
A bit of class. So, yeah, it's just going to be about that bit deeper, which they needed big time.
I'm really looking forward to what Draper might bring. Just on the little bit of footage that I've seen, he's very explosive.
Yes, no. And there were people last year say, oh, no, shouldn't pick Draper. He hasn't been that. And you're going, you're forgetting. He shouldn't even have played in the 18s. He hadn't played. It was
Yep.
anyone else. He was captain. It was sort of his draft year.
Yes.
I'm going, hang on. Let's remember, he was the best player as an underage of the year before.
Yep.
Anyone who's seen him play enough just went bang.
Absolutely.
No-brainer.
Adelaide would have been quite happy to let him slip through to 4 in the end, but let's just see how that one plays out. I'm actually looking forward to him and Horn Francis going head-to-head in a couple of years' time. I'm not going to throw the Mozza on right in the first year, maybe the second year, but I reckon third year onwards, those two going head-to-head, geez, it's going to be a pretty special showdowns.
Oh, geez, Horn France. I know it's put a bit of an exhibition game, really,
Yes.
that game.
Let's talk about that
Geez,
now. Yeah, the Fremantle and the Indigenous All-Stars.
Indigenous all just so quick. You've got a forward line with Horn Francis, Ryan, Rioli.
Mhm.
Just trying to think. Everyone was quick.
Yes.
Bolton.
Yep.
It was just explosive. And so it's almost sort of you weren't not the traditional full forward mark. It was just move with pace, chip, pace, run to hole.
Yep.
Yeah, some of their highlights were pretty spectacular.
Absolutely. as I said, let's talk about the Indigenous All-Stars game. Well, congratulations, obviously, for getting that up and running.
Oh, and it got great support.
It did about 38,000 to the ground, and certainly all of us, like we've talked about, are starved for a bit of football at this time of the year at the best of times. Really looking forward to, sort of watching some footy, and you got a high-class match. Now, vice versa to that, Fremantle not really wanting to give away too many of their trade tickets for the season. I think
bit of wah-wah for mine.
a little bit, but does it need to be a representative side, say a SA or Victoria or Allies, WA? Does it have to be something along those lines for it to have that little bit of meaning?
For mine, I reckon Fremantle have wasted an opportunity. It effectively gives you, that club, another chance to have a real decent hit out. Don't put it in this. No, go for it. So you're hitting round one. Really adamant last year, and we'll have it again this year, that teams who play that first week,
the opening round versus
have
round
a real advantage playing teams in the who haven't played yet. So for mine, Fremantle wasted a bit of an opportunity there. And I just think it was crap.
I think that's a pretty fair point. Obviously, the All-Stars had something to play for. Obviously wanted to showcase their skills. Indigenous talent, we really need to be a lot better at getting these players, obviously, into the AFL system. And clubs are recognising that they've got to be better at catering for those needs because, look, let's be honest, it's a slightly different culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like any other different culture that you're coming into, and you need to respect those boundaries and respect what goes on the land and so on and so on. Which a lot of those players do come back, to their local lands when they possibly can.
I think it's something which football does a lot better than some other sports. So, like
agreed.
Cricket particular, that you've got. I think there's Scott Boland in terms of male wise and that, and. There was Dizzy, but really hardly anything in terms of there. So in that way, but it's also a real hard one. You talk to some of the guys who say the skill-wise up at, you go to the MPY lands, and the skill-wise is just
it's sublime.
Obscene.
Yep.
But trying to get those guys then down committed to a program isn't easy either.
Yeah,
so it's a hard one.
I think that's that balance is that, it is much more of a professional sport these days than it's ever been, and it's only going to get even more professional. But it's about taking that pathway and seeing if we can mould it and change it a little bit to respect the cultural values of those players.
Yeah, and, it's also interesting that there's Hugo Hagen at the moment who's hardly been to Western Bulldogs training and they're not sure when he's going to play. He trained with the All-Stars.
Yes.
And if he trained a few more times, it sounds like he would apply.
Yep.
So, it's an interesting one there as well.
Is it a case of maybe players like that coming off the short run-up?
Yeah, they've still got you've got to tick the fitness bases and, so many testings they do. And if he started, goes out and pulls a hamstring after having done anything. And also, I reckon you'd be a bit pissed off as another player if there's a player who's hardly done anything gets picked.
Yep.
When you've trained the whole summer.
I mean, that happens in all sports too, that sometimes the gun players do get a little bit of a free pass, whether they're out for a week or two or whether they're injured, and then they come straight back in.
It's even been openly spoken about in tennis today with the Clayton suspension for Yannick Sinner.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It's certainly on the agenda, that's for sure. Mate, I love the Guernsey. It was absolutely beautiful. Working at a sports store, I can't wait to get my hands on one because really everyone's sort of asking for them. So
no, it looked fantastic.
It did look specky, that's for sure. All right, let's talk the Tassie Devils. We did talk about it briefly last week. It's gaining momentum. The stadium still is a little bit of an issue. Will we see that getting up in time for 2028?
It's certainly in big doubt.
Yep.
No doubt about that.
Will they still start in 2028/2029 playing out of Blundstone Arena or the Hobart Oval?
You're suspecting that at the moment.
Yeah.
It does look like they've probably started.
Because they're sort of full steam ahead with everything else. It seems to be the one thing that's sort of holding them up a little bit as well.
Yep.
All right, let's talk some club breakdowns. I've got this wrong on the agenda list, but it's actually GWS and Hawthorn.
Okay, well, Hawthorn, probably the thing there. One, you're going from last year's finals where their best player in Will Day was injured. So immediately you put your best player in, and I think he could be in the top 10 players in the competition this year. I rate Will Day ridiculously highly.
Yes.
So I think there's a chance there in terms of that way. And they also have recruited Barras and Battle.
Yes. But does that upset the balance, though? Because can they repeat what they did last year, or do they need to take that one step backwards or half a step backwards to be able to launch again?
It's interesting hearing Dan Menzel, and he makes this point, and it's one I like, where he said, you remember so many of, and he was using Hawthorn as the example in this case, but so many of their players, say 10 to 25 or 10 to 30, had very good years.
Yes.
And that doesn't generally repeat.
Yep.
I reckon that's a really good point. So they're still going to need, but it gives them a bit more flexibility with Sicily that they can play him either end now and that. So that does help.
Is it a case of those young players trying to find that equilibrium as far as, like you've mentioned there, they all had, exceptional years. They had great years, and it was exciting to watch. But then the other side of it is that you almost try too hard to repeat it, and that's when it gets you in a bit of trouble.
Maybe, someone like a Watson who explodes, he's going to get a bit more attention this year. Probably also the forward is currently injured. Deer.
Yes.
Young Deer.
Cashier
being injured. That hurts because I think he's vital.
Absolutely.
Especially with Lewis still out till probably halfway through the year.
Yep.
So there's a few question marks, as there is with the majority of clubs.
Exactly right. Yeah. Average age of 24.4, the 10th oldest list. So they're right in that sort of nice little window there. Average game 71.7. Most games. Luke Bruce is playing his 300th or has played his 300th. 13 games with 100 games plus and 22 players with 50 games or less. Sammy Mitchell, he's almost a chip off the Clarkson block a little bit, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Something a little bit different. Doesn't let much phase him.
There's some similarities there.
There are, exactly right. All right, GWS, highly regarded Adam Kingsley for what he's done up there, considering that, once again, they did lose a few players along the way. Where does that leave them now?
The hard thing is they should have won last year's premiership.
Yep.
And, and that's, so you go, hang on. Now, you don't know what's happened in the off-season that they lose so many players for the first couple of rounds. And, if they lose the first couple, how does Jake Stringer fit in? Now, Jake Stringer normally starts off okay at a new club.
Yes.
So there's the things there, but, and they've lost some depth, losing Perriman to Collingwood, coming to the Crows, Peatling to the Crows. So they've lost a bit of, reasonable amount of depth. So there's a few question marks there as well. But if Cadman and Stringer and that can combine,
they could be quite dangerous.
Still going to kick a decent score.
Absolutely. Toby Green's probably the question mark a little bit. He's another year older.
He didn't have a great year last year, so he'd be hell-bent on trying to prove that. And he'd be hell-bent starting, hang on, I probably didn't do enough as club captain to stop that event. I should have just put the kibosh on it.
Yep.
So he'd also, I reckon he'd be thinking, I've got to really.
Yep. And that's probably when he's at his most dangerous, isn't he? Is that when the chips are down a little bit or everyone's writing him off or piling on, it's generally when he plays very, very well. The average age of 24, the 13th oldest, average game 67.7, 14th most experienced. Cullen Ward at 315 games. That snuck up on me, even looking up that as well.
Yeah, he's been a durable and very consistent.
Absolutely.
While he's had some injuries, he's
still played some fair chunks of time.
Consistency of footy.
Exactly
been
right.
very good.
Players with 100 games plus of 12 and players with 50 games or less is 24. So they're in that same window as Hawthorn. It's what they make of it is probably the key here, isn't
We
it?
show so many under 50 where they've lost that bit of depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it could be a rebuilding year for the Giants, but never write them off. I think Adam Kingsley...
Oh, they've got too much talent on their list.
Exactly right. I think Adam Kingsley's got the talent at his disposal that they could do something quite special up there. Good luck to them this year. All right, mate, let's move on to the SNFL. Let's have a look at West Adelaide. West Adelaide, before we talk about their team as such, but off-field, they've got some real uphill battles ahead of them. Something was obviously posted about a week or so ago. We didn't quite get to it last week because of special guests in Ryan Harris and obviously Craig Martin talking golf and cricket, respectively. But I think it's important that West Adelaide remain part of the SNFL.
Oh, vital. And look, financially, it's always a battle for them. I admit I'm a bit mystified that the other clubs basically learnt, Nord, Woodville, West Torrens, North Adelaide, got it, and Sturt. You've got to have your pokies out on a main road.
Yep.
They're still, West Adelaide's are still down at Milner Road.
Yep.
And yeah, I like West Adelaide as a club.
Absolutely.
Go there for some history events and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I don't think they've been smart in that way, and they're consistently just struggling financially and having to pay for things on consignment at times. I'm not sure if that's still the case.
Mm-hmm. And looking for a new CEO, I think I saw advertised as well. So
it's not an easy gig.
It's not an easy gig. So putting that all aside, West Adelaide, do they... Look, I don't want to throw it out there and just sort of throw it off the cuff a little bit, but do they look at maybe a merger with someone like a South Adelaide or with the Crows potentially at
I don't think
Theberton?
you can afford it, because if you lose the Crows and Port, you can't afford to lose another side. So
Yep.
I think the SNFL will be doing everything possible to keep West Adelaide around.
Yep. No, and fair enough too. I'd like to see them survive. And look, it may get it a little bit like they've almost got to follow Glenelg's path. That's where Glenelg were 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And, you know, rattle the tins and, you know, even if you're a supporter of an opposition club, buy a membership, help them out wherever you possibly can. So maybe that's something that we need to push a little bit harder, and maybe we'll get somebody on from West Adelaide to try and to boost that a little bit.
Yeah, so they picked up Tom Scully. He's back from Port Adelaide,
Yep.
and I admit I was surprised that he got delisted. I still think at his age that
He had some
you've got to
offer.
go. Well, you've got to go longer with taller guys.
Yep.
I think they've written him off too quick.
Yep.
And also the other point too, and Brenton Phillips has made the point, and hopefully I'm not talking out of school in regard to that. You're watching under 18s has got the anti-density rule.
Yes.
So you were recruiting people from that rule.
Yep.
So, and Scully's 6'8", the old language, whatever.
Yes.
You know, he's a bloody giant.
Yep.
He was too tall for at 18s
Yep.
and playing one-on-one. You don't get that the next level. So Sticks either have the rule altogether
Yes.
for every grade,
Well,
or get rid of it
We've
altogether.
talked. It's a bugbear of mine with some of these rules in making sure that they are consistent all the way
It's hard
through.
enough to try and predict the youngster's going to go through, but it's harder
Yes.
that you're watching him under different rules.
Yep.
Because I watched Scully under that and thought, yeah, he's got an AFL future well and truly.
Yep.
But I kept reminding myself, it's also different. He's not going to have
That's
that
right.
rule. So it's hard.
Do you see the anti-density rule coming in to the SNFL?
I like it as
before
a
the
rule.
AFL, if that makes sense. We've introduced and been quite successful with the last touch out of bounds. I mean, it works well.
And admittedly, I don't like it the last touch bit on a windy day at Nord or Glenelg
Yep.
because it gets blown, it goes out. AFL, it's ridiculous that they haven't got it because you're playing on the bigger ground. So
Yes.
he actually doesn't go out of bounds. It's like you play a game at Elizabeth and you actually forget about the rule.
Yep.
And so that's what had happened at AFL level.
Yep.
So it's just stupid where AFL, insufficient attempt. Well, just bring in the rule.
Well, like we've said
Just
plenty of
crap.
time, there's plenty of people in the crowd that absolutely lose their,
Oh,
I'm going to say it, shit when
Yeah.
when it's clearly deliberate and the umpire will go, nah, throw it in. And it's like, how did you come to that decision?
so just, get rid of it. But so the Scully, Logan Austin from Bairnsdale and Port, Harvey Griffiths from North Launceston, Johnny Schuback, who South did not want to lose.
Yes.
Caleb May, now they've lost. Josh Ryan's retired. Caden Brand retired. Sam May. All the best to Sam May there. I think he's still going to be involved at West Adelaide.
Yep.
Josh Gore's gone to Southport. Mitch McGuire to Wagga Demons. Lucas McClellan, Luke Redfern, Matt Ryan, Luke Young to Henley, Tom Randall to St. Peter's Old Collegians, Hackney High.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've lost a few there as well. And South Adelaide, if we read all their comings and goings.
Yep, we'll be here until
I'll go through them quickly. So I won't mention the clubs. So coming, Jaden Magorf, he's come back from Sydney. Oliver Northam, Will McCarthy, Will Spland, Luke Bogle comes back from Nord, Brad Jeffries from Sturt, Giganta from Sydney, Sam Foley, Cody Lowe from South Launceston. I wonder if he's related to Braden. I'll have to ask him. Tom Gillett, Ben Ashley Cooper, Emmanuel Impang, Nick Waitman from Nord, Patrick Che, Ty McGuinness, Lachlan Gill. Now they've lost. Kobe Mulch has gone to Woodville West Torrens, Hayden Sampson, Oliver Meagans, Jonty Schuback, Sid Draper, Arlo Draper, Benny Barrett, and I'd be Ropeable on that one because he goes to Port under that rule.
Yep.
Tate Lovering, Nick Zach Keir's gone back to KI, Liam Nye, Cooper Rogers, Darnell Tucker, Hayden, Lachlan Hayes, and Scott Bedford. So they've lost a
lot of turnover.
Yeah, just a huge turnover. And a lack of stability there is hard for South.
Yep.
I think with Grant, with Jeff Baines being there, Grant Miles involved, I respect them administratively, but geez, it's hard just with that lack of balance. And they've got that big area down south and just don't manage to get the utmost out of it.
No,
either.
and that's we did talk right at the end of last week's episode about getting those local clubs around the area involved with Sturt. With South. I'm sure they're doing something, but there is always something that can be a little bit more done there as well. So, they're surprised me with the talent that's around that sort of Southern League. How it isn't transferring.
So many of them though, in terms of they're getting paid more down the clubs down south and less commitment.
Yep.
They want to go to south, try and battle, and some guys do that for a while and then go,
yep,
nah, bugger it, I'm going back.
Yep. And then we need to change that, really, don't we? I mean,
I don't know how though.
No, I know, but it's got to be looked at. That's for sure. Let's talk about Adelaide and Port Adelaide just briefly. Obviously, with the rule change, has meant that Adelaide and Port Adelaide are going to benefit massively from this, and if we don't see them,
they both
in
should
the
play finals.
Top three, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, I think Glenelg, for mine, Glenelg and Adelaide are the leading two sides.
Yep.
By a fair distance.
Yep. Yep. Then it's sort of Sturt, Port Adelaide, and then fifth spot's up for grabs, isn't it? Going to be very, very interesting there. Best of luck to those teams, and we might see what we can do with West Adelaide over the next few weeks. Some trial games coming up, but we might hold off until next week on that one. Exactly right. All right, mate, let's move on to cricket. We sort of cut a little bit of the cricket out of last week's episode because we did go, a lot longer than we had hoped to go. But let's talk the one-day internationals. Fell apart at a time when everything seemed like it was the perfect summer.
Yeah, and look, for mine, playing for Australia is a privilege. And also, I think in selection, you've got to treat the opposition with respect.
Yep.
And I don't think either of those two happened in that regard.
Yes.
Travis Head not playing the first one. Now, nothing against Jake Fraser-McGurk, the bit I've had to do with him, meeting him.
Yep.
Nice guy. He seems quite a nice guy, Rooster, in terms of that way.
Well,
but it's farcical as a South Australian supporter. I'm relieved he's in the Australian side.
Yep.
So, therefore, he's not the South Australian side.
Yep.
Now, he's averaging, it's around 10 or so for West Torrens. And I made that point to a West Torrens guy this week. I said, if you're picking your side, if I'm fair income and all that, he probably doesn't play A grade.
Yep.
And pretty hard to
Absolutely.
hard to debate that.
Well, the headline was the biggest fake in world cricket.
It's ridiculous. And look, I just don't get it. And if you're going to go for an opener who just goes for from ball one, well, Mitch Owen's done enough to have been looked at there instead of Fraser McGurk.
Yep.
I just don't get it. And again, it's nothing against Alex Carey, obviously.
Yep.
But he doesn't play the second game either after top scoring in the first game or another rest. And I get it, they're looking at guys for the Champions Trophy, but I'm still very much of each international is an important game of cricket. Now, I don't think Australia selectors, and I don't think it was treated that way.
Yep.
And even just watching that, the first one when Sri Lanka were 7 for 120 odd, Australia really lacked any intensity to try and finish them off.
Yep.
So they got what they deserved.
Yep.
Treat any sport, you don't treat the opposition with the respect.
Yep.
There was no sympathy from me in that one. I was quite happy to see Sri Lanka win both games.
Yeah, absolutely. Where does that leave Australia for the upcoming Champions Trophy tournament?
Look, I think they will struggle because it's not only that, you Cumming, Hazelwood and Stark all not playing. So they're lacking a bit of depth there, and there's not the depth in batting.
Yep.
Now, Matt Short, as we've just said, Jake Fraser, years ago, they don't get looked at.
Yep.
Now, you think, I know we go back the glory days and all that, but when Australia were really strong and there was the depth in Shield cricket where, Michael Bevan, Darren Lehman, Love, Jamie Cox, Stuart Law, all didn't play.
Yep.
Brad Hodge didn't play a huge amount of Test cricket. That's what it's got. There's not that now. And look, I'm a Shield nut. I go to Shield games.
Yes.
There today. We'll talk
about that in a minute. Yep.
There's not the depth. And I think at the moment we're top, South Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, you'd have to have it. But of our last Shield winning side, the batting, the top 7 of Greg Blewett, Paul Nobes, Darren Webber, Darren Lehman, Jamie Siddons, James Brayshaw, Tim Nielsen as the top 7 is a lot stronger than now.
Yep.
But then if you took out 2 of those as like Blewett and Lehman as test players,
Absolutely.
that would then have weakened it dramatically. So there's that. But, the South Australian batting is still big question marks.
Yep, absolutely. Pitch-wise, what are we expecting? Are we expecting a little bit more of a batter-friendly wicket, which will help Australia, or because
Pakistan
traditionally generally is a bit more of a batter-friendly?
So we'll wait and see.
Yep. Can Maxwell get going?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. All right, mate. Let's turn our attention a little bit more locally. You did mention just a minute ago the South Australian Tasmanian Tigers. This is an unbelievable result. South Australia all out for 93. You'd think that you're in massive, massive trouble if that was the case. Tasmania all out for 101, all on the first day.
And we had him 6 for 36, and it was a very tough catch. It was one which was more really saved a couple of runs getting his hand to it than a drop catch. But if it had stuck, Tasmania would have been 7 for 36.
Yep.
Now, that's just crazy. That's schoolboy things. Now,
That
we had
is.
the game in Perth. Now, I was there today. Look, did the ball seam a bit? Yes. But where's the batting just to tough it out, work it around?
Yep.
Geez, there were some shocking shots played today.
So has T20 played a big role in that, do you think?
No doubt about that whatsoever. And just, let's see about someone, Alan Border and Steve Waugh. How many times they played innings where they bat and you think, it was just ugly.
Yep.
But guess what? They made runs.
Yes.
Knocked it around, fought. There was none of that today from both sides.
Yep.
And 2, I do want to have a crack.
Yeah, far away.
Fire anyone out there, go on and have a look at the dismissals. Now, if Jake Lehman and Harry Nielsen's dismissals today, have a look where Elliott, the bowler, is there. Elliott, whatever, either way, trying to think, the Tasmanian bowler, For mine, they were both back foot, no balls. And I'm blowed how I've got a real pet hate of umpiring seemingly not even looking at the lines anymore.
Yep.
And just no balls ignored. And really poor for mine.
I asked the question off air, and I'm going to ask it again on air. Are you surprised that there are no third umpire just watching the creases? Not necessarily for nicks and snicko and all that kind of stuff, because I know there's an expense to that. But, making sure that the bowlers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that a third umpire isn't actually helping out or adjudicating with that? At a national level? I mean, this is a domestic national competition.
Considering the game is every ball is filmed anyway.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so out of that, it probably wouldn't hurt. I've just got to... I still think it's an umpire's responsibility to watch.
No, I agree.
Might as well not even have them out there umpiring. Yep. A lot of the time. And, Jake Lehman's especially for mine, the back foot is definitely cutting the sideline. That all the back foot has got to do is cut that sideline, and it's a no ball.
No ball. Yep.
And for mine, they both were, personally.
Absolutely. Some interesting results. 20 wickets falling on day one. An interesting statistic that you brought up a little bit earlier. It's the first time.
That's never happened at Adelaide Oval.
Never happened at Adelaide Oval.
And there we were batting again in the second innings, and you think, come on, you two, get through to stumps, which they did.
Yep.
So none for 24, quite crazily.
Yep.
We're 16 runs in front. We start day two at effectively none for 16.
Yep.
So quite crazy.
Crazy
days cricket.
Anything could happen. Do you think the weather, though, had played a little bit of a part? It's been slightly cooler today, but that little bit of breeze, do you think that made it hoop around a little bit?
Look, it was seaming a bit and all that, but it wasn't a wicket for 20 wickets to fall. Yep. Just poor batting by both sides.
Yep.
Brendan Doggett bowled very well. Probably the best he's bowled.
Yes.
He took 6 for South Australia. Elliott took 6 for them. He's had a purple patch for the Tasmania the last 2 weeks. That's 16 wickets in the last 3 innings for him.
Yep.
But, it was just Jake Weatherald played a terrible shot off his first ball. Jason Sanger's shot was poor.
Yep.
Jake Lehman's shot was poor. So there was some really bad batting.
Fair enough. Just looking at some of the other results there. New South Wales men all out for 238. Victorian reply 4 for 92. Obviously, by the time this goes to air, those scores will have changed. But Queensland...
And have a look at Conster's shot. I'm sorry, it's crap. It is diabolical.
Yep.
It's garbage. The whole ramping bit, it worked off a one-off. He's had a huge slog, stepped inside it, got bowled.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you're opening the batting. It doesn't mean you just have a free hit. If you fail, you fail.
Yep.
It was just crazy. And after 2 overs today, New South Wales were none for 30 of the first 2 overs.
That's crazy.
It was bizarre.
Absolutely.
Queensland
all out for 147. Western Australia in reply 1 for 112. Is that a surprise considering Western Australia struggled a bit this year?
Been a bit. And look, well done to Corey Roccacelli. He took 7 for 52. Very unusual to see an offie dominate the first day of a game. I like Roccacelli. I rate him. WA also get Whiteman back, and he was out for 67, but that just gave them a bit more stability at the top. He was out still with a crook foot last week, so he came back. That helped.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to some local cricket.
Yep.
Before we talk some of the results, I know that you want to give one player in particular a bit of a plug for making himself available.
Yeah, look, I'll continue to praise Lloyd Pope at every opportunity. He makes himself available to play every single game, and he virtually any game Lloyd Pope's not playing in, he's been ordered not to do so by the selectors. Now, pretty easy this week. A couple of the Shield players have done it because they're playing Tuesday through to Friday.
Yep.
Then the one day or on Sunday have made themselves unavailable. Not Popey. He played last Saturday.
Yep.
Don't worry. If he gets his way, he'll be bowling. He'll be bowling on Saturday as well.
Yes.
Kenzie are bowling this week.
Yep.
So full credit to Lloyd Pope there.
Well, the way
really
wickets are going,
highly.
he's probably going to get a day off somewhere in there anyway. So it's easy to make yourself available. But congratulations. I agree. If you make yourself available,
attitude.
Exactly right. And that's huge. All right, mate, let's move on to some local cricket. We did talk last week a little bit about some of the men, but let's talk a little bit about the women's.
Yeah, so in the terms of, there's 2 games each week in that. And look, Glenelg were dominated there in terms of as a team performance. They made 8 for 230, of which Kate Peterson 55, Elizabeth John Scholl, I'm trying to read my own writing, Eliza Wilson 37, Elizabeth Johnson 61. So there. Now, it was a one-man band for West Torrens, or one lady band, sorry. Kelly Armstrong making 113 there in a losing cause. So well done there.
Yes.
Kensington came back. Now, they were beaten by Adelaide for the first time the last time they played. Kensington were all out for 152. So Adelaide were right in it in that way.
Absolutely.
Andrew Boy was the most prominent there for 3 for 23. Indy Pinelli with 30. And I think by the end of her under-19s national campaigns, I think she'll have played in 6. I said she nearly gets long service leave from under-19s.
That's unbelievable.
How young she started.
Yes.
So there, Eliza Dodson, 23, and Francesca Quayle, 26. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. It's not an easy one. But Sarah Lowe then took the captain of Kenzie, led from the front, and took 4 for 24 for Kenzie to get a bit of come back there and beat Adelaide. In terms of the men on the weekend,
well, but now it tightens up a little bit up the top, doesn't it? With a couple of big scores.
Yeah, so makes it more, and that it'd be great to have some more sides in the competition. But it's good that all the sides there are, there's not a real easy beat there.
No, and there's not a massive standout either. It's sort of that perfect storm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just before you go on with that question without notice, the Div 1, Div 2, do you think that that's what's caused it to even out a little bit? Or is it just one of those years where it's just even across the board?
We're talking women's still?
Women's, and then also men. We'll talk about the men's in a minute.
I think women's, it's probably that's almost that. It sounds funny. While it'd be great to have a couple more sides in it, provided they were really good sides, this say at least the 4 sides are all pretty competitive. And the last thing you want to have is, a game every 2 games every week where they're just really one-sided.
No, fair enough. What about the men's?
So West Torrens, 7 declared for 372 against Glenelg. So a good day for West Torrens with a bat. Harry Menenti, so brother of, Ben, made 104, and he was in the strikers squad, and I think Harry's progressing.
Yes.
Daniel Drew made 80, so he came back after Drewy had struggled. Got in the Shield side because McGurk got called away and contributed in Perth. Now, I think Drewy should have played the Shield game, personally. But 80-odd there. James Cole, 51. And Bailey Capels had a purple patch. Son of Andrew. And Michelle, better mention Michelle as well.
Absolutely.
Was 76 after making 100 last game. So he's had a couple of things there. Now, Isaac Higgins, 30 overs, 5 for 107. So
you don't hear that too often. 30 overs.
That's for the kid.
That's a fair workload.
Son of Ben.
Yes.
So there. In terms of then the other games, Tea-Tree Gully, good consistent performance there with a bat, 8 for 338 against Uni. Luke Holman, 74. Hamish Case, who's a very good player. I like Case. I rate him. 93. Joe Gadding, he is second cousin, I think it is, of Mike. Of 79. So, reasonable performance there. Nothing really a standout by Sam Elder, 3 for 39 for the Blacks, or for Uni.
Yes.
There. Sturt are well poised against Kensington. Kenzie made 10 for 2, or were all out for 241, of which Jake Lehman made 126. And Stephen Doheny, the Irish player,
recruit,
55. But
he's having a fair season.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Absolutely.
They fell away a bit from there. Lloyd Pope did make 21. But Sturt are well placed at stumps at 1 for 70, of which Mac Harvey, 37 not out. And Tom Kelly started well coming back from his broken thumb. 70-odd last week, 26 not out at stumps there. So hopefully Mac Harvey gets a hit for Sunday for the one days, and hopefully TK makes some runs and gets back puts a bit more pressure back.
Weather's going to be interesting this weekend. We've got a 36 on Saturday and then a 28 in rain or 26 in rain on Sunday. So could make it interesting.
I wouldn't mind if there's no result on Sunday. A couple of points would be enough to get us on it. Anyway.
I can see you doing a rain dance, mate, no matter how bad the back is.
So Port Adelaide have already defeated Adelaide. Adelaide have been a bit disappointing the last couple of games. They were well placed, but they've fallen away.
Yes.
All out for 100, of which really there was nothing. A couple of 16s.
Wow.
Now, Ben Turley, 537, and Harrison Massey, 2 for 10. Liam Grieber, 2 for 37. Liam very well coached at Prince's when he was in grade 5. And Port have cruised there. So Port have got to try and win that outright to try and still have a chance of avoiding relegation. So that's still there.
It's on for young and old.
In Div 2, East Torrens probably one they'll regret. They won the toss and sent Woodville in. Woodville 5 for 320 for the day.
Ouch.
So there. And
how do you get that so wrong? I mean, look,
these things happen.
Grass.
Probably didn't rate them well enough as much as they should have.
Right. So that's that respect thing that we talked about a little bit earlier.
So Henry Cullen 78. Brody Rimmer 70. Ben Chapman Lilly 65. And Harvey Brennan 62. So they were all fair few contributions.
Yep.
Now, look, Southern Districts all out for 109, of which Northern Districts have already got them at 2 for 112. So there's a couple of sides there just not even competing well enough.
Yep.
In 4 ducks and 2 ones.
Okay,
so
that hurts.
Exactly great.
That hurts, doesn't it?
Aubrey Stockdale 5 for 29.
Yep.
There, and Northern's Harvey Box, good to see, 45 not out, and Josh Can 33 not out. So easy one there now. Prospect all out 138. Saka 19s are 3 for 90. Saka 19s will get them.
Yes. They've been impressive this year, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Paul Washke Wazowicz, we'll go with that. 48 for Prospect. So at least there, and a couple of 20 and a 48. He was 48, sorry, 28 and that. So the 19 should get them.
19s have been very, very impressive this year. Well done to them. And gee, wouldn't it be nice if they could get themselves up into that top side?
Yes.
Be very, very impressive. All right, mate, we better take a very, very quick break. But coming up, Adelaide United, unfortunately going down, but a couple of local debutants.
Yes.
Live Golf, the watering hole, was a popular choice. And the 36ers season goes from bad to ridiculously worse.
Kabang.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen. As per usual, we thank our sponsors for helping us out. And let's move on to the soccer. Adelaide United, unfortunately, not back to their winning ways, losing 2-1 to the Newcastle Jets.
A bit disappointing when Newcastle were and at home.
Yes.
So, but it is a young side. It's a team full of locals. So the huge ticks for both of those.
Absolutely.
So,
two young locals, obviously, making their debut. I think that's really good at this time of the year as well. for them as well. Adelaide United take on Western Sydney Sunday, the 23rd of February at 4:30 p.m. I think it is. So they've got a little bit of catching up to do, but they've generally done that pretty well this season, haven't
Hopefully.
they?
Hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk Live Golf. First thing off the bat, the watering hole. What did you think of it, mate? It's nothing like hitting an ace, is there?
Look, it's just one over. Whatever you think of it, it's a winner. You don't have to be a golf fan.
Yes.
It's worked. 102,000 people at a golf tournament.
Yes.
Yeah, it's and the thing now with the potential redevelopment of the North Adelaide course, so you can have you and I can go and play the same course, which so as a potential tourist thing that is, driving range, putt are intended to be part of it.
Yes.
He continues to deliver goals.
Yep.
And you get that you get that will. And it's nearly as big as the Adelaide Oval redevelopment in terms of potential of tourism.
Yep. So. Adelaide have secured the event now until 2031. You did mention there that the North Adelaide option will come in, I think, around 28, 29, thereabouts. Greg Norman obviously designing the course. I did hear an interview with Peter Malinauskas talking about how the checks and balances will be watched carefully. But
don't worry, Mally will do that.
Absolutely. But the bringing the golf to the city, I think you're right. It is going to be a big winner. Do you think Grange will be massively disappointed that they potentially will miss out on it?
Oh, definitely, no doubt about that. Because you know, everyone here go, "Oh, great, how footy's back in town." Think of the businesses at Westlakes. That was their
cash cow.
Yeah,
yep.
And out of that, and even yourself down there. Working down there, that was the through traffic and all that. It was huge. So that shopping centre got the biggest whack of anything.
That's right.
And that. So, and the lakes and all that sort of thing. So, yes, it's great for in-town businesses.
Yes.
But it's not for businesses.
Absolutely.
And let's remember there are businesses apart from Adelaide.
But trying to get an Uber or a taxi out of Grange was near on impossible, especially when you got 100,000 there over the course of a weekend. Do you think the move to North Adelaide is the right move, and will the council agree on it? Because they sort of missed the boat with the Crows, really, with that development up at the Aquatic Centre, didn't they?
Common sense and Adelaide City Council does not go together.
This is why I asked.
Huge worry.
Does the state government step in and go, hey, this is a...
Well, I think they can on this because it'll be
a
major development.
Yep.
So they will. There's a chance there. Yep. And unfortunately, you've got to keep doing that. And it should have happened with the Crows thing.
Yep. It was a no-brainer, really, up in that top corner there, wasn't it?
Incompetence is being polite.
That's okay. All right. And where they're at is going to be a little difficult to get to at various stages, especially with the development going on South Road. What happens if Live Golf and the PGA merge? Does the future of the Adelaide tournament then come into question? Because the last thing you want is it to become a white elephant.
I reckon. I'm sure Mally would have had. I'm sure they would have had that covered to some extent because it's just an obvious question.
Yep.
So I'm sure there'll be some contingency there as well.
If they do merge, would it be silly of them to actually move the event or cancel the event altogether, considering it is such a huge, event for golf? And someone from Golf Australia was saying their junior membership's up 32% this year.
And I don't think it get cancelled. When you've got the golfers saying it's the best tournament in the world and all things like that, it's not going to go.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, I know, but
some of those organisations don't exactly see eye to eye, and a bit of argy-bargy there. So
maybe. Anyway,
let's leave that one on the agenda for next time. We might even get Craig back on at some stage with the golf coming up, and we'll ask him about it. All right, let's move on to the basketball. Huge start to the play-ins. They had a huge win, but then they're up by 21 points at one stage
just
against
before
Southeast
half-time.
Melbourne and blow that lead and lose. How does that happen?
And blew it convincingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a betting man, you'd sort of question it, wouldn't you?
Oh, just sums them up. It'd be interesting to get the stat of how many games they were in front at halftime and lost. Look, you wouldn't back the 36ers wearing someone else's wallet.
All right, now that the season's over, where's it all gone wrong?
Oh.
Right from the start.
Yeah, right from the start. Yeah, look, that was still so bizarre. It still makes no sense whatsoever.
Yep.
They've lost respect for mine in the sporting public.
Yet the
crowds
still keep coming though. That's the thing, isn't it?
It's got me,
it is absolutely. Where to the 36ers from now? Does the coach stay? He wasn't committing really in his press conference.
They can't sack another one.
Yep. What about star player Harrell?
Who knows?
He sort of says that he wants to be back, but is what to be believed that there was friction there in the club rooms?
Yeah. Certainly sounds like that.
It certainly does. All right, mate. Let's take another very, very quick break coming up. Keith Thomas, part 5. We've got 6 parts of this series. That was an absolute fantastic chat.
He was fantastic.
He was. And Greg Whittlesey, part 2, coming up on Monday.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Are dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
Flashbacks. Extra time. Big finish.
All right, mate. Robbie Gray's highlights there in our flashbacks today. Obviously, being inducted into the Port Adelaide Hall of Fame there, or Legends. He's just one of those players. And what a steal. I read somewhere in the paper that they got him at 45 or 55 in the draft, and he turned into one of the absolute greats.
Trust me, he could have been a crime.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Let's talk NBA. The All-Star weekend didn't exactly go off the way that they thought. They did try something a little bit different with the 4 different quarters and different parts of the world and bits and pieces like that. But it really just turned into an exhibition game, and it didn't do the game any harm, but it also didn't do it any good either.
Doesn't really help.
No, it doesn't. How do they fix that? Because it seems like these exhibition games everywhere are now almost
they're ho-hum.
defunct, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Personally, I'd rather not have them.
Yeah. All right, let's talk tennis. 18-year-old Maya Joint is making moves in the WTA singles and doubles rankings, winning a few more tournaments just recently and really on the cusp of making the top 100.
Yeah, and Tristan Schoolate, he's showing promise as well.
Absolutely. Impressive start to the 2025 season. Notched up another Challenger semi-final in India. So not only doing it home, but abroad as well. So well done to Tristan there. bit one of a personal one for me
Yep.
this week is the Lawn Bowls, the Adelaide Pioneers. It is an Adelaide team.
Yep.
Are competing in the BPL 21 over in Moama, right on the border of New South Wales and Victoria there. Keep an eye out on games at KO, and I reckon it might be on Fox as well, but have a little bit of a look there. But best of luck to the teams there. Mate, we've better wind things up. Huge episode. The good, the bad, the ugly for this week, mate.
The bad was terms of flaking. We're not being able to walk on the track.
Yep.
The goods, well, the bazaar. I want to go to the bazaar.
All right, let's go to the bazaar.
It's the Today Shield game.
Yeah,
20 wickets
that
at
was
Adelaide
gonna be
Oval
my
today.
bag. Yeah.
I think it's more just the bazaar.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
So when you think 20 wickets have fallen, that's actually nearly an hour of the batsman walking on the ground and walking
Yep.
off for the day.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. Not too many drinks breaks needed along the way there. And you're ugly for the week,
Adelaide 36ers.
mate. I have to agree with you on
no more.
2 out of the 3. My good for the week is the Indigenous All Stars game. I thought that they put on a show, and that's exactly what we got. And you're right, that fast ball movement is the way of the future, isn't
And
it?
that's an exhibition game which worked. And
Yes.
it's probably the only one for the weekend which did.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, mate, we better wind things up there. As per usual, thank you for your time tonight. Thank everybody as well. Like, rate, subscribe. Pass this on to friends, family, and share on all the social media platforms. If you haven't joined us yet, please do. Sportscast Media SA. And as per usual, we've got to do better than this, and we'll see you next week, mate. Hopefully walking quite well. We'll see how we go.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe. In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.